For our next session, now serving on Cloud 9, we have moderating the panel, Mr. Samir Kuckreja, founder and CEO, Tasanaya Hospitality. Joining him on stage are Mr. Akshay Tripathi, Vice President F&B IHCL, Mr. Varun Tuli, Managing Director Yum Yum Tree Group, Mr. Vineet Manocha, Senior Vice President Culinary, Lite Foods, and Mr. Vishal Jindal, co-founder, Biryani by Kilo. Over to you, gentlemen.
To this side, to this side. Yeah. Please. Okay, good afternoon. This is the worst session to moderate after lunch. I hope you all had coffee. So this, as we were talking, is the should be, hopefully for the hoteliers and the others in the audience, an interesting session. Just remember that food delivery in lockdowns, lockdown 1, lockdown 2, the only business which was operating and was allowed by the government right from the beginning was food delivery. Whether you're a cloud kitchen or a hotel, you are allowed food delivery, and while your restaurants were shut. We are going to discuss a few areas, and I will give a brief introduction. I should introduce, I'm Samir Kuckreja, founder and CEO of Tasanaya Hospitality. I've been in the kind of F&B industry for 32 years. I worked in various companies, Yum Restaurants, helped set up Pizza Hut in India about 20 years ago, and Mars Hotels and Restaurants in Mumbai, and my last full-time role was CEO of Nirula's. And then I've been running my own consulting, Tasanaya Hospitality, for the last 9 years. I do a lot of work in cloud kitchens, delivery, technology, M&A, executive search. According to the India Food Service Delivery Report 2021, which was released a few months ago, I'm a co-author of it, the food delivery market in India in 2019-20 was US $5.2 billion. This has already grown at a CAGR of 33% over the preceding 3 years, and is estimated to grow to $13 billion by 22-23. The COVID has obviously accelerated various aspects of delivery. I think most luxury hotels / mid-market hotels have really focused on food delivery for the first time in COVID, out of necessity. It's also thrown up the fact that there are markets. There is a new market. There's a growing market for high-end, premium, fine dining delivery, stuff that Varun has been doing for a few years. What I think is very important, and we will discuss this in more detail, is to focus on getting delivery on your own platform, getting direct orders. You need to have, a very vibrant social media, digital marketing presence. Focus on Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp business to get orders. The aggregators are there and they're not going away, and everyone mostly kind of straddles both areas, being on aggregators and all. But there is a whole challenge with the aggregators around various areas, around data masking, around commissions, and around the profitability of the business when you work with the aggregators. Cloud kitchens is another area where I think it's grown to an extent where it's almost at the stage of oversupply now. So what's happened in the last 18 months is that hotels have set up cloud kitchens, various hotel brands, various Indian F&B groups, and on the panel you'll hear from Lite, from Varun, Taj. They've all set up new cloud kitchen concepts, brands over the last 18 months. There's been a huge excess, I think a lot of supply. I think there will be a shakeout. It's very important as cloud kitchens to differentiate yourself. You got to differentiate yourself on actually your product. Eventually people will order again if they like the food. The food reaching hot, the food reaching crisp, the food reaching fresh, the food reaching within the promised delivery time. It's all about the food. It's about the packaging. The only way you engage with your customers is through your food, packaging, and your social media as a cloud kitchen. The customer doesn't see you, the customer can't visit you. So you have limited ways of reaching the customer. Another trend which I see very little of in India, and I hope we see more, is hotels outsourcing the F&B. Some of it has happened in the budget segment in India. with some of the budget chains. But why not everyone? I mean, why not mid-market? Why not fine or high-end hotels? The fact is that I do think that there's been, over the last 5-7 years, a lot more innovation around cuisine, food, and restaurants in the independent space. And there are so many opportunities to collaborate with independent restaurateurs, depending on the positioning of your hotel. So I do hope that this collaboration between the hoteliers and restaurateurs, I think it will benefit both. I think it's an opportunity which hoteliers should look at, especially utilizing the kitchen spaces that they have. I was talking to Patu Keswani yesterday, and he said, I didn't realize I have 120 kitchens and so much equipment, and how, perhaps underutilized hotel kitchens are, if you look at a per hour capacity usage or other aspects. So with that as a broad introduction, I'm going to ask each of the panelists, starting with Vineet, to introduce themselves for a couple of minutes, tell you about the brands, the companies they run, the delivery brands they run, and then we'll get into the discussion.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Vineet Manocha. I work with Lite Foods, and we have various brands, but in the cloud kitchen format, we run Punjab Grill, Street Foods by Punjab Grill, Yumi, Asia 7 Express, and Artful Baker brands. We have various other brands also present across the quick service, fine dine, and the convenience formats at the airports also, and overall presence across the country and overseas also. In fact, Mr. Kuckreja just mentioned about hotels outsourcing the food and beverage. We have we have our presence in 2 hotels already. We are present in Abu Dhabi, Ritz-Carlton Abu Dhabi with Punjab Grill, and recently opened just 2 weeks back in the Oberoi, Dubai as Punjab Grill brand. So that is a little bit about me and the company.
Thanks, Vineet. That just proves the point. The hotels you're in are outside India, not in India. Yeah. So we'd love to see. I know you guys have opened. Vishal?
I am Vishal Jindal. I am the co-founder and co-CEO of Biryani by Kilo. We are the biggest biryani and kebab delivery chain in India today with 150 crores or so revenue. We are in more than 20 cities in India, from Delhi NCR, most of the northern tier 2 towns, if I can call them, from Jalandhar, Ludhiana, Jaipur, Bhopal, Indore, Kanpur, and in west, Mumbai, Pune, east, Calcutta, Bhubaneswar, Siliguri, Guwahati. In south, Bangalore, we just put 6 outlets. We started 2 months back, and we've been growing 80% CAGR. We are proud to say that we started in 2015, where biryani category was not so hot, cloud kitchen was not so hot. So I can say, so we are the pioneers in many ways, cloud kitchen, leading the biryani category, and we are the, if I can say, the only company probably to make biryani fresh, dum biryani fresh for every order, and we deliver it in the same handi in which it is dum cooked. So we don't follow the typical 30 minutes delivery route, or rather we do 60 minutes, because we believe biryani has to be dum cooked fresh for every order, and it takes around 30 minutes and 30 minutes for delivery. And so in a way, we have led the cloud kitchen business, biryani category, fresh dum handi biryanis. We're the only company probably to do 3 or 4 different kinds of biryani: Hyderabadi, Calcutta, Lucknowi. In Bangalore, we do Guntur and Nilgiri as well, and of course kebabs. We'll be going international from next year, and we hope to be 1,000 crore top line company soon. So prove the cloud kitchen model.
Great. Varun?
My name is Varun Tuli. I am the founder of the Yum Yum Tree Group. We run multiple brands, amongst which are Yum Yum Cha, Food and Catering, and in our cloud kitchen model, we run Noshi, Pot Pot, a bakery brand called Wheaty, and 2 brands in Dubai called Mbox and Indiebox. We entered the cloud kitchen market in 2016 with Noshi, which was essentially an experiment with which had to deal with kind of demand of the Yum Yum Cha brand. Of late, we've started delivering from the Yum Yum Cha restaurants as well, which has been an eye-opener for us in terms of the kind of demand that is out there. At this moment, we do approximately, between all our brands, we do about 1.2 million meals a year across Delhi, and Dubai is a small percentage, about 5% of our business. We are only in Delhi NCR. Three of our brands, Noshi, Pot Pot, and Wheaty, operate from our base kitchen, and Pot Pot and Noshi kind of operate as pairs in many places. We're about to open our third Noshi and Pot Pot location. Pot Pot and Wheaty are also COVID babies, so they just started in September and October last year, and we're happy to note that I believe Pot Pot is probably one of the fastest growing upper end Indian brands now, at least in Delhi NCR. And that's a little bit about us. We operate in the slightly upper end of the segment.
Sure, thanks. Akshay?
Thanks, Samir. I'm Akshay Tripathi. I look after the food and beverage function for Indian Hotels Company Limited. And I guess I'm the outlier on the stage because our entry and approach was absolutely opposite to some of my panelists here. This is definitely a COVID baby as part of our ancillary business in the arm of Indian Hotels. This originated as an exercise, and we still just completed about a year of running this as an operation. We launched the brand called Cumin. So Cumin is a complete ecosystem of food delivery platform, which obviously provides end-to-end in terms of different supply from our network of close to about 75 odd restaurants, currently present in 20 cities. And of course, it caters to not only food delivery, but also hybrid virtual celebrations for either a corporate setting or a social, that we've seen a lot of emergence of different ways of engaging on a platform. But more importantly, I think this exercise has been a very interesting one for us, a company, because this is not our core business. Our core business is extremely excited to see everybody in the room, as well as I think after ages I've seen a banquet hall filled up with people queuing up in a buffet. This is what we specialize in, but at the same time, in the last 12 months, we've learned a lot of this part of the trade, which we'll talk about.
Great, thanks. So I'm going to start with the first question that, the challenge with cloud kitchens, as I said, is you don't, and Varun, for you, because you have some brick and mortar brands which you've created. How did you, when we did the Pot Pot and your bread brand, your bakery brand, how do you reach customers? How do you, how do you gain customers? What is the strategy to gain customers?
So I think we've been a little fortunate in the sense that we had the reason for starting some of these brands in COVID were because our catering business was heavily affected. I mean, hotels talk about how much COVID has affected them, but out of all the different businesses in F&B, I think catering in isolation was probably affected the most because it basically operates on numbers. So we have a very large clientele in terms of catering, and reaching out to the catering, clients, guests, that was definitely one strategy of kind of getting our name out there. Yum Yum Cha has had 4 locations and a good fan following, so kind of reaching out to that audience as well. But to be fair, we've had very little marketing that we've had to do. Mm-hmm. We've actually typically had more demand than supply. Right now, we're still trying to increase our infrastructure across. So we've been fairly fortunate in terms of trying to reach out.
Has it been kind of word of mouth?
Yeah,
it's really helped you totally.
From the beginning of our kind of career, we've only been word of mouth as a company. Typically it's might sound strange, but the way I launch a brand is I'll just put up a Facebook status to say I've started something, and then people kind of try it out. I definitely think we are a very product focused company. I think we invest heavily in the product itself. So for example, we believe in industry-leading packaging, not just in India. I feel that our packaging is the best of its kind anywhere in the world. Very unique. I think many of the things that we've kind of pioneered have then been kind of become the industry standards. Noshi, when it started in 2016, was the first brand to bring in ice packs for sushi. And our argument was that Delhi is a city with 9 months of hot weather. And to try and deliver a product like sushi had to be done in a very different way. We used magnetic boxes. We did double and triple packing. We did glass bottles for soy sauce, etc. So I think that was something which was very different. And I think once a customer receives a product from one of our brands, they kind of clearly find some kind of a differentiation. Even our breads, for example, again, a COVID baby, they come in a paper bag and then further in a bread bag, in an actual linen cloth bag. Of course, that makes the product a little more expensive. It's higher than the regular market price, but when you're receiving something, it actually feels like a gift. It's the same joy. You might get an Amazon package every single day, and I think we do now. Get like an Amazon package like pretty much every day. And just the joy of getting something and then opening it up, and that unboxing, so to speak, is really our marketing. Our products that we kind of sell are mostly all reusable. All the packaging kind of goes into becoming tiffin boxes and flower pots and spice jars and little goodie bags for kids. Our pot bags are canvas bags that groceries are kind of taken out in. If we go to many houses, our ice packs are in most freezers where people use them for.
And you smartly branded your ice.
Yes. So they use them for ouchies, as I like to call it. And so, it just brand recall over and over again. You open your fridge to get something, and you find an ice pack, and you suddenly recall that, you might want to go out and order, or you just take out a spice jar or something of that sort. So I think we've tried to kind of integrate with our customers. I think we've tried to become a part of their homes, and we've almost tried to kind of take over somebody's house where eventually we're opening another a Western brand called Tablespoon. We'll kind of bring it into the cloud kitchen space as well. So eventually the entire F&B kind of all cuisines will be available to someone at home to order from any one of our brands.
Sure, thanks. So Vishal, you're very different. So this is all the other panelists are broad-based, right? I mean, their brands are multiple, their cuisines are multiple. You guys have been single-mindedly focused on biryani. Never tempted to do other things in North Indian?
So see, with due respect to everyone, I would say McDonald's has just focused on burgers for last maybe 50 years or more. Same for Domino's, same for Starbucks, same for Chipotle. So if you are trying to create a $1 billion brand or a $10 billion brand or be a category leader, see, Varun is very, very talented. So he can do so many, and I love all his brands, and of course Taj, but most of the people will not be able to do justice. Like I mentioned, McDonald's, they focused on, and it's a $20 billion top line and a $180 billion market cap company today. Chipotle, $5 billion top line, $50 billion market cap, or Starbucks, same $15, $20 billion sales. So just one category is good enough to do $1 billion, $10 billion, why even bother?
you guys had a different strategy. You started with only cloud kitchens, and then you went to brick and mortar. You also did dine-in.
That will be true for a Nika, Lenskart. See, we believe that brands need to be omni-channel. Our strategy is to be 90% delivery and 10% dine-in. We do one dine-in outlet per city to have a brand connect. So, and especially in tier 2, where the consumer behavior is different. But it's not, it's a small dine-in, but a premium one where customers can come and experience the brand and the category. And so omni-channel is the way we believe, but you should know where the intersection of delivery and dine-in for your category is. For us, we think 80 to 90% is delivery, 10 to 20 at most.
Sure. Vineet, you guys, you went the other way. You were a dine-in company, and then started focusing on delivery a few years ago, and now have gone really cloud kitchen. So what was the cloud kitchen growth? Has that been kind of COVID? Is it a COVID baby, really, the cloud kitchen growth in Lite Bites?
Actually, yes.
Yes.
If I talk about cloud kitchens per se, it has been a COVID baby.
COVID baby.
But we started focusing on delivery just around 2 years prior to COVID. We've started focusing on delivery. If I talk about 2018, our delivery contribution to the overall revenue was only 5%. Today we stand overall group wise, we stand at 40% delivery.
Wow.
Yes, when we talk about COVID cloud kitchens, we today have 8 locations with 5 brands each. So 40 cloud kitchens operating in total.
And all in the NCR? All NCR?
No, in Mumbai and Delhi.
Oh, Mumbai and Delhi.
Delhi NCR and Mumbai.
Mumbai.
So,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. Okay. The newest, the youngest on the block as far as food delivery goes. What made the Taj invest so heavily? I mean, all the hotels have done it, but where Taj perhaps, one of the only hotel chains I've seen which has invested so heavily in terms of an app, a platform, and now you were telling us earlier when we were talking that you've kind of evolved a little bit to a platform within the Taj group. So what's
True.
the kind of strategy going forward?
Yeah, so Samir, I think we just have to rewind about 15 months back, right? When everybody in other sessions have talked about how there was 0 levels of business and hotels are shut. And so for any kind of service industry, airlines and hotels got impacted the most. Essentially, you had the equipments available, you had the resources available. Now it was about every company was trying to reach to residences of people, right? So while you're trying to do that, you're looking at ways and means. Now, the global players, the conventional players who were already available, whether it's the aggregators, whether it is the Amazon in terms of the actual product, automatically realized that there was an opportunity wherein you can profit out of it. And of course, it was also due to the demand and supply. And while the demand and supply, there was a huge supply waiting, there was not enough logistics. So in fact, that's why when you see majority of unicorns which have happened this year, 3 of them are in logistics space. So, and that's, we had to look inwards. This is literally 2 weeks into the pandemic. We have a parent company of Tata Sons, and of course we have group companies which we synergized with, and they come with a huge assets of how to create a platform. What we had to do was make sure that the supply and focus on the offering was correct. So we piloted in Mumbai for the first time, and we were focusing only on our iconic restaurants, and of course serving signature dishes from there. But that's how it piloted about 15 months back. One of the things that we were discussing backstage was that the most important aspect of any delivery, and for all of us we've experienced that, is actually the last mile, right? That how do you control the last mile, because that's not in your control. Whether it's food, whether it's beverage, it's more volatile because it's F&B, because by every passing 5 minutes, that's what Vishal was mentioning, the product is going to deteriorate. So what are the delivery spaces that you can get to, what are the geographies that you can get to is extremely critical. So we went into a platform wherein we owned the logistics part of it, not the company, but when it comes to owning the experience. So the person who comes to your door is also part of the human delivery. It is not a third person who you don't expect.
Sure.
And this is not the hotel staff. So let me be very clear, because obviously the expectations is, and a lot of other companies have tried out that during a period of time, yes, the hotel staff were available, but now our hotels are full.
Yeah, not full, yeah.
The restaurants are full, as we can see across multiple cities. So it was important to consider the logistic player who understands and grows with us. So of course, that's where we invested in creating that ecosystem.
Okay. So this takes us into what I think the second topic, and you talked, Varun, about word of mouth. I would like to get examples of how you're using technology. Social media everyone knows, but any examples of how any of you, I'll leave it open to anyone to jump in, how you're using technology to mine your customer database, to drive revenues, to drive higher frequency, drive higher APC. Vishal?
So CRM is a big part of cloud kitchens, if I can say. Of course, food is always the hero. You can never compensate for that. Food has to be the hero, and But other than that, technology plays a big part. The reason being that you are not in a mall or a high street. So the customer is not seeing you. How do you acquire and retain customer other than food? And how do you even acquire customers, right? So you have to effectively use technology, and we have opened 60 outlets, and almost all the outlets, the first month, even if, of course, it's a new city, we always break even. So that's the power of technology. And
But how? So give us an example of a new city you opened in Bangalore. You said you opened 6 outlets in the last 3 months. How have you gone about telling the Bangaloreans about Biryani by Kilo?
So of course, some part of it is marketing, good traditional marketing as well. I'll not take credit away from the good old.
Leaflets? Leaflets?
No,
Still?
of course, no, they still work. So some level of that, not so much, but there's a very small part of it, but you can't do away with the
Flyers.
traditional BTLs and ATLs. But we work with a lot of data. We work on a lot of data which we get from third parties, where, through different social media, Facebook marketing, emailers, SMS, and how you engage. See, I'll just take less than a minute more to say, see, the beauty of cloud kitchen and technology is, I know that one customer, particular customer, let's say of mine, orders a Hyderabadi chicken biryani almost Sunday lunch every time, or at least 2 Sundays in a month. So if that person is not ordered for 2 Sundays, I know that person is not ordered. So can I ping that person through technology and nudge that person on a Sunday morning? It's been 2 Sundays. Are you fine? So I'm just taking an example.
That's a good example.
So this is, but you have to be able to have the harness, the capability of technology by knowing, by product, by customer, what they eat, what time they eat, are their preference, and accordingly nudge them, not push them at the right times.
Varun, give us some examples of something else what you do.
Okay, so we take a very, Akshay had mentioned that one of the most difficult things about delivery is logistics. We took a very different view, and this is the same thing that we did in our restaurants. We believe that the infrastructure that's required for food production, for example, is probably the most critical. So just like in our restaurants, we do 50% of our space in the kitchen. Similarly, our cloud kitchens are very large. We do 2,500 to 3,000 square feet per cloud kitchen with 2 brands in there. And we focus very, very heavily in our base kitchen in terms of production technology. So almost everything now is automated in terms of butchery, vegetables, sauce making equipment, etc. We then focus very heavily on how the customer, how much time the customer takes in terms of, for example, page loading. So the size of the images, we focus on iconography, so the images load extremely fast. So from landing on the website to checkout, we try and limit that time to 2 to 5 minutes that a person can kind of make a decision and get out as soon as possible. We've invested very, very heavily into just simple technologies like label printing. So as soon as an order comes in, all the labels for that order kind of get printed instantly. We focus on which areas can be switched on and off on busy nights.
Sure.
So for example, we are also on aggregators, so we kind of are able to switch off at a certain radius or switch off certain sectors. So for example, in Gurgaon, we'll switch off the 100+ sectors on a Saturday night at 7 o'clock. And we know where the orders are going to come from mostly. We do a hybrid model where we do our own riders as well as outsourced riders. So we make sure that enough riders are available for a particular region of how that kind of food gets delivered to that region. So we kind of make sure that the technology guides us that the orders are going to come from this particular region on this particular day, and therefore and the orders which are actually further away, a lot of them actually end up ordering mostly on weekdays and not weekends. Because they do realize that it takes a lot longer on weekends, and on weekdays they manage to get their order 20 kilometers away in an hour. So they don't want to wait for 1.5 to 2 hours on a weekend. So I think we use technology in a little different way, but mostly infrastructure related.
Sure, that's interesting. Akshay, you guys very early on did an app, I think, in the journey. Was it? I mean, do you get what kind of proportion of your business comes on the app versus the web versus other sources?
Yeah, it's a very interesting question, Samir, for us, because obviously when we started off, people who tend to order with us were the Taj loyal
customers,
guests. One of the things that we've realized in this pandemic is that adoption to technology has accelerated by the highest percentage that has been seen in last century or so. So what was an experiential and a journey now became convenience to essential,
yeah.
right? So everybody was engaging through an app. So that did help us, but at the same time, you always knew somebody at the Taj. So you'll call that person and say that, hey,
Yeah.
right, that send me this is what I like, and vice versa. Mr. Tripathi is calling, I know that he likes biryani and he likes this, so I'll deliver it to him. So for us, it was a very organic approach towards capturing the other side of the audience, and that audience was a very different demographics. And they are the ones who are very comfortable in utilizing the technology. But more importantly, we saw the growth from initial 10% of our app revenues going to close to about 40 to 50%. 50%. Okay. Right? And that's a huge transformation in the AOVs that we play with, which was about
last year. You were mentioning that you also got into a kind of lower, originally it was all the boutique restaurants and high-end AOV.
True.
And now you have a variety of offerings.
So while we were progressing on creating the market, but at the same time you have to make sure that there are offerings were available for that market. So it was not only about the signature dishes that I spoke about, but we went into comfort, we went into meals, we went into subscription, we went into Energize, which is what you see right now as part of this room setting. Sure. At the same time, one of the most important aspects that we realized that, which is a form of this conference also, is a hybrid version of engagement. So while you're engaging everybody in a hybrid fashion, people are celebrating birthdays, anniversaries, weddings across multiple cities. Now with IHCL's network of hotels, when we are present in close to about 150 locations with Ginger in certain cities.
You're majorly in the food gifting delivery business.
Exactly. So you're able to synergize between our core business and reach out to places through a hamper or through food. And that's when you actually realize that, hey, this is a form of engagement. Not only you can literally have somebody performing at our restaurant and you're literally beaming the entertainment. Right. So
I think very interestingly, during the lockdown, some of the artisanal brands I'm involved with, one is Cold Love Ice Cream and Common Blessings, we got a lot of orders in the NCR from embassies and offices, and all the celebration was around food or ice cream. So they wanted to send a bunch of employees a thing delivered on the same day, which is then eaten or enjoyed at the same time. And this is all new. So there's there are all kinds of interesting avenues which COVID has thrown up. Vineet, you guys also operate, multiple brands. Tell me one challenge. So you have Punjab by Grill, which is your premium Indian brand, and you also have Street Foods of India. How do you straddle, because you're in the same Indian cuisine, but in two very different segments? So different consumer bases, or how does that work?
So it is two different price points. It is two different segments of customer that we are targeting. And there is enough market bandwidth available for both the price bands. Punjab Grill fortunately has a very good market goodwill which it carries, and it has a very loyal customer base. So fortunately Punjab Grill is the largest brand which is getting our best direct orders.
Okay.
So largest number of direct orders come for Punjab Grill, and the AOVs are as high as 1,500 rupees. So when we talk about Street Foods by Punjab Grill, it is mostly run through aggregators.
Okay.
The order generation is through aggregators, and most of the marketing that we do is the BTL and digital. Yes.
Okay. Now to the interesting question. Unit and overall profitability. There's a lot of hype around delivery. The research we did in the report showed that 80% of cloud kitchens in India don't make money. Okay? 80% of cloud kitchens in India don't make money. And I'm saying money is not outlet level, corporate level. So after all corporate expenses, promoter salaries, commissary, overheads, do you make money? 80% of cloud kitchens in here don't make money. So what is why is it so difficult to make money?
So let me back a bit.
Sure.
See, Burger King in India with 800 crores of revenue also
Doesn't make money.
doesn't make money.
Well, not necessarily the benchmark, but
Not
nevertheless.
no. So see, what I'm saying is here is, see, it depends on also, there are two things here. See, if a cloud kitchen is standalone or 2-3 outlets and not making money, that's dangerous.
That's a problem.
That's a problem. That's a real problem. But see, if a Burger King wants to, they have, see, entity level profits are also a function of how much marketing and the corporate
absolutely.
expenses you do.
Yeah.
So sometimes you build a corporate for 500 crores or 100 crores or 1000 crores. So a company which is 20 crore might have created a corporate of, in terms of audit, quality controls, hygiene, standards, which can support 100 crore top line. So they might not be profitable from 20 to 80 crores because the corporate has been created. But if you don't have a kitchen level EBITDA of 25-30% or at least 20%, then it's a very big problem.
Challenge, let me ask you, because you said a lot of your brands are very dependent on the aggregators. When you're so dependent on the aggregate, a lot of your business is from the aggregators. Do you manage to make this 20-25% EBITDA at the outlet level?
I would say if we do not account for the new customer acquisition cost or the brand recall cost, the marketing per se, we reach that number.
Okay.
But yes, when we have to, if I talk about kitchen level, yes, we reach close to around 17-18%.
Okay, that's pretty decent. Varun?
So we don't look at unit level profit at all. We of course look at profit as the most important metric. We don't look at revenue that much. We look at what we like to call as desi profit. Desi profit is what is in the bank is profit, basically. Right? So we don't look at, we even look at all our capex expenses. We don't even count them as, we do capitalize them, of course,
you look
legally,
at a
accountability.
corporate overall profit number.
Just look at an overall profit. It's just, in the company. And we don't believe in spending a lot on various kind of heads. So for example, the cloud kitchens, one of the most interesting things has been that our real estate holding cost is under 1.5% of our revenue in cloud kitchens. So that's non-existent. That's almost nil.
That's for free.
Our credit card commissions are, under 0.5% overall. We've, from 0% from companies like Bharat Pay, to 0.8% with HDFC. So we kind of have very good. 99% of our orders are online. Less than 1% is other channels. So we don't encourage phone orders at all. In fact, it's almost, you almost cannot get
through. Do you do a lot WhatsApp ordering?
No WhatsApp. It's
just entirely on the website.
Aggregator, interface, that's it. So we don't, one of the most frequent complaints is that nobody picks up the phone or nobody responds to our WhatsApp messages. So we almost, by design, want people to just go online and kind of do it. Even if somebody calls up, we actually tell them, please go online and order. That's the fastest way.
Okay.
We don't accept cash at all. We have 100% online payments.
Wow.
We do zero cash on delivery, zero
and no
cash.
resistance to that?
Resistance right in the beginning. We used COVID as a kind of example right in the beginning, and hygiene.
Yeah.
And then it worked so well, and we required almost no cash here anywhere. That we just went with it.
Interesting savings, huh? Very interesting.
Yeah. So manpower savings are tremendous. We don't get into all this kind of, it's everything, again, back to technology, it's all technology based, right? If everything is kind of online, and if everything is, your order takers are not required, or very limited order takers are required, your cashiers and accountants are not required. So it's actually, in cloud kitchens now, what very little cash there is if somebody actually calls you up and says, please, aaj accept kar lo, cash. So our cash deposits are like once a month now in a cloud kitchen, if that. That also, guy has to run to the bank and just put it.
May I request all of you, if you haven't already, please put questions on the app. We've got adequate time and we'd love to make it interactive, so love to hear your questions. You guys are in, Akshay, in the investment stage. Is there a kind of, have you been set a goal that you need, this vertical needs to break even at X years? Or?
Yeah, so most interestingly for us, we've been green from day one, purely from the perspective that our business and operating model is very different. Because we were really sweating our existing assets. We are not investing into kitchens. Yeah. So even at a network level and at a unit level, we've been obviously positive. One of the key aspects of that is also because Human was an aggregator to IHCL hotels. So essentially, you're not paying out to the aggregators, which is out there. So that 20-25% is also going into the corporate when you look from the accounting standpoint. So yeah, for us, it was the only investment which has gone into is the time and intellect.
This is the time it's taken. Okay. Any examples anyone has of brands you mentioned a bunch of the big, large MNC brands, but any cloud kitchen brands you've seen in other countries, you're benchmarking, you emulate and say, hey, this brand I've traveled and seen and their packaging is excellent, or because, India's in a very early stage of cloud kitchen development. If you look at the UK or the US, they're way ahead of us. Anyone got any brands that you think are?
Yeah, I can kind of pitch in firstly, because we kind of benchmarked few of the best practices from some of these international brands. So DoorDash, as you know,
yes, absolutely.
Which is on the aggregation side. So each of these cloud kitchen brands actually took the inspiration from Amazon, right? Because Amazon created the white label, and now their white label products are practically close to about 40 to 50% of their sales in matured markets. Now, when you're actually getting into an aggregator mode and then switch to a white labeling a product, that's when you start churning and making sure that you're using the resources well. The another one, which is on the Rebel side of it, like Rebel Foods for India, for internationally is Reef International. Now, Reef International is like the supplier to majority of Wendy's and majority of the QSR as well as the mass premium scale. So these two have been kind of, and they are big players. They always aggregate the smaller players.
Both very big players.
So automatically, it's an interesting zone.
Anyone else?
Just one more thing. For these, what they worked is again on the principle of the product and supply, that they treat cloud kitchens as their fulfillment centers. So there's a lot of investment which goes in terms of what are the locations that I can reach at what particular time, and intelligence of what some of the other panelists were mentioning is who orders at what time and what will I order.
Yeah, Vishal mentioned it, who orders chicken biryani. Great.
Absolutely.
Another question which I haven't talked, have any of you experimented with third-party infrastructure, guys? Like setting up your brands at, Travis Kalanick's company, City Storage Systems. There are a bunch of Indian and international operators starting who have set up infrastructures and inviting brands in. Any of you? Or
so I would say, without taking any other meaning, that they are more suitable for smaller brands who are starting out.
Sure.
I think most of the panelists here would like to have slightly, like Varun was saying, 2,500 square foot.
Large.
They typically offer a 200, 250 square feet. And we like to protect our IPs. And
do you think that there's an opportunity in what they're doing? Because there are a bunch of guys doing this right now.
So it is, I would say, it is like WeWork, where you're giving the office space, the hardware part of it, but the software in any business. So can someone create a Microsoft or a Oracle if they have office in WeWork? It's like saying that.
Sure.
So it's just 10% of the work done.
Okay. Any other international examples? Anyone? Varun?
No, so I mean, I wanted to take a quick jab. I would like to think Lite benchmarks against us. No, but I'm just
okay.
but
I'm sure.
But we do benchmark a lot. We benchmark against products, not against brands. So we try and figure out what are the products. So for example, if you just, a lot of people here use aggregators as well. Maybe Taj does not. If you just ask them a simple question, what sells, without taking brands, they actually give you some great data. On what are the kind of products which sell, and then we also benchmark against products which don't sell. So for example, something which was very interesting just before we opened Pot was we realized that chaat has a very, very small market share, and it shouldn't have such a small market share compared to what the consumption pattern of the country. So which is why we went into chaat, and we kind of brought in. It's been excellent. It's been a very large category. Chaat. Yeah. So
chart in delivery.
So it was just about 5 days before we launched, and we kind of launched the chart category.
So you're seeing insights from the aggregators on a white label basis as to what is selling and what's not selling.
What is selling and what's not selling, and what is the gap in the market, right? So for example, Pot was also one of the first pan-Indian restaurant brands, and I think with something like a Yum Yum Cha, it was one of the first, or Yum Yum Tree rather, way before Yum Yum Cha, one of the first standalone pan-Asian brands. So, you mostly had kind of Chinese restaurants back in the day. Similarly, most of our premium Indian restaurants have always been North Indian in nature, at least in the Delhi NCR region.
Sure.
To kind of look at regional foods. Why aren't regional foods kind of selling? Why aren't people ordering a yellow dal? Why is it only a black dal kind of a thing? So to try and integrate coastal regions, northeastern regions, northern, western regions into just pure North Indian kind of flavors in there. And I think that for us...
Do you guys think there are lots of gaps still in the market?
Yeah.
Or is it
multiple.
too crowded? Still lots of gaps?
I think there are tremendous gaps.
Tremendous opportunity?
Yeah, tremendous. So for example, cold food, right? So sandwiches, for example, right? So people in India have just started learning how to eat cold food.
So will delivery CAGR still be 30 to 50% next few years?
I think so.
Possible?
I think new categories.
Yeah, new
Chaat,
categories are there.
sandwiches, poke bowls. There are a lot of these cold food categories that can just be transported.
Listen, guys, these insights are worth millions of dollars, so we're going to charge you after this. So if you find any of the audience, I recognize a lot of you opening any of this, then we'll take some royalty. What are the opportunities? What do you think are the opportunities? May not be in what you do. What do you think are under-penetrated delivery areas?
So there are two things. I think first on the cloud kitchen, which we think is the biggest or doing well. We think Domino's is the world's oldest and the biggest cloud kitchen. So how we see it. So because dine-in is quite limited and it is a delivery business, so there's a lot of learnings if someone is doing a cloud kitchen business to learn from Domino's. That's one.
Absolutely.
Second, on the whether this oversupply. So see, I think that's a very, very subjective question. See, whole of India, Zomato, Swiggy, the total listed delivery players would be like 1.5 lakhs. Maybe that will be the number of restaurants in Beijing itself. So it's a very subjective one. And second thing is, see, volume doesn't mean that there's oversupply. Of course, I agree there's a lot of volume of cloud kitchens. But if you really see a single, let's say if I say, which is a single most, do we have 10 Chinese brands in Bombay or Delhi itself, which are pen city, whole city? See, Barkos, maybe Big Wong, 7, 8 outlets. Do we have a same brand in Chinese which supplies in Ghaziabad and Noida and Gurgaon and Delhi? I don't think so, so many, not even 5. So I wouldn't agree to...
Let me give you some data points. This is from the NRAI report in 19, which I shared. So at that stage, the average Indian eating out or delivery was 6 times a month, which was more skewed towards the big cities, smaller. Singapore is 30 times a month. Bangkok is 45, and in Shanghai and Beijing it's 60. So if you look at 4 meals if you look at 4 meals a day, with potentially 5, breakfast, a mid-morning, lunch, tea and dinner, you have lots of meal opportunities. So the actual growth opportunity is to convert the home consumption and the grocery buying and the cooking to coming to convenience. So kind of if you look at it from that big canvas perspective, the opportunity in delivery is still, I think, large. Okay, so we'll take the questions. The first one, which has got a lot of people asking. What have you invested in tech? Do you use any custom tech, or is it mostly software as a service? So, anyone, couple of you want to give an answer to that? Varun?
I'd like to take that. So when we went into trying to get into deeper into cloud kitchens, we were using a very old legacy kind of point of sale system, and we wanted to kind of switch our point of sale system as well as go online at the same time. And we kind of audited pretty much every solution that was available out there. We also, almost engaged DotPay and Paytm. But we found that, for example, with something like DotPay, the page load times weren't what we wanted. With Paytm, they did not have some technologies in place. They had just the front end kind of, which was in place. So we reached out to what we thought was one of the best point of sale players, which is Paid Puja. We kind of went into Paid Puja. And they were very skeptical of kind of getting into this online, building a website type of a space. They connected us with somebody in Chandigarh who would kind of build the front end for us. We weren't happy with that, and I called up the founder and I said, why don't you use us as a case study and develop the entire applications for us?
End to end.
End to end. So I said, and I kind of offered, I said, we're willing to pay for the customization, etc., because they had the fastest speeds of anybody who we found in the market, and that's what was kind of our pain point. And I still remember when Parthiv told me, I said, how much is it going to cost? He said, I'm going to charge you 8,000 rupees an outlet. So I called my accounts guy. I said, 96,000 per outlet, 12 se multiply karke. He said, nahi, 8,000 rupees saal ka. So, we kind of...
And you're happy with them? Happy?
Extremely happy. I think I can't say enough good things about
they
them. I
handle
think
end-to-end, everything?
So they've handled end-to-end. They've handled everything from rider integration to payment gateways to location pins. And this was all new for them in the sense that they hadn't done any of this in the past. 100% kind of population of images, which is something which I would actually almost want to take credit for Swiggy doing 100% images, because they were not going to do 100% images, and we said we wouldn't go on their platform if they wouldn't do 100%. So,
anyone else who wants to respond to the software, anything different? Anyone's doing
So
it?
we get a lot of software made from third-party vendors, but who make it specifically for us. And then there are some standard softwares with Paid Puja, Urban Piper, and Lime Tray, a couple of them. So we do a mix of both. But we are moving towards more and more in-house going forward.
In-house. So you get guys to white label develop for you as you need.
Yes, always, more and more.
So you mean you're not finding suitable ready softwares in the market for what
really,
you want?
Not
as
really,
yet.
not really. More and more we are shifting in.
Okay, this question I actually asked all of them before. So how much of your business is Zomato, Swiggy versus direct? So there's a huge range. Is 50-50?
Zero.
Zero. No direct. All Zomato.
All direct.
All direct. No,
All
sorry,
direct.
no. But you know Zomato, Swiggy?
No,
zero,
we are
sorry.
not in Swiggy or
100%.
Zomato. Yeah.
50-50.
50-50. And you're more skewed towards Zomato.
We are
Swiggy.
more, yes.
Yeah.
We are aggregators, 90%.
But like you mentioned, different brands like Punjab
Exactly,
Grill, and you were saying Artful Baker, the bakery
yes,
brand also.
Yes. So different brands have different contributions, but premium brands have more direct.
Okay. I have to say, Megha, I don't like this format. Yeah? I like to know who's asking the question and talk to them. And you're not letting me, but nevertheless. How important is data mining and intelligence in your business? Can you give examples of how it's helped your business? Beyond the example that you gave an interesting example of the chicken biryani every 2 Sundays. Anyone else got a specific example how you use data mining?
Yeah, I can attend in that. So again, it starts with data and ends with data. Legacy-wise, a lot in at least the hotel and the food and beverage segment, it's a very emotional way of looking at decisions. Somebody was talking about gut and experience yesterday, but more importantly, the first data point starts right from understanding what your market is, what do they need. In immediate factor, we change our consumer needs from time to time. Most importantly, right now, our marketplace is this, right? So it's how much time am I giving across to a particular app is provided by a phone. And ultimately, everybody is fighting for your eyeballs. So while you're fighting for your eyeballs, it's very important, first of all, whose eyeballs are those. Then secondly is creating that operating system, right, from where you will be available to how you'll service. One of the examples I'll give is that a lot of these companies, the logistics companies and the aggregators, they have big data. And they will provide you every single data points that you would need to take and consider in your business.
Sure.
One of the things is traffic. Every city has a different traffic parameter. 10 kilometers is maybe 30 minutes in Delhi NCR. But in Bangalore, it's 2 kilometers.
So
in Mumbai,
times of the day and
times of the day. But ultimately, you're eating at the same time of the day.
Farmers are Andolan on Monday, which threw all delivery into a dizzy.
True.
So,
But at the same time, majority of times, you're eating at the same time of the day. Right? So at
the
least
peak hours
that's
are the common.
determined. So it gives you practically 6 hours to make sure that you're capitalizing on that time. So while you're doing that, what route to take, right, from the logistics partner. So each of these makes you very efficient.
So I think, Vishal, you also wanted to comment on this question? Or you also want to answer?
You can also do with using technology cross-sell. So of course we do mainly one, but we are very well known for our kebabs and because kormas, the Nizami cuisine, 80% of our sales is Philly. So you can use technology to cross-sell, right? So we take our biryani customers and knowing their taste and preferences, cross-sell some of the other things.
Do you manage to cross-sell between brands, Vineet? Because you have multiple different brands and you manage to use
We
tech?
cross-promote the brands.
Cross-promote the brands.
Yes, but we do not cross-promote across price bands.
So premium to premium.
Exactly.
Got it.
Yes.
Okay, very interesting question. I'd love the answer to this from all of them. Okay, this you all have to answer. What's your marketing budget? Social, digital, ATL, BTL, all put together, advertising on the aggregators, as a percentage of revenue. Well, this is not secret information I'm asking. Was silence on my panel, eh?
I can start.
Yeah, start, Varun.
We are
You're always willing to.
0.5%.
Hey,
0.5.
I don't know. You sure?
Yeah.
0.5%.
I actually did that calculation
You did
in my
that
head
all
couple of
heads?
times. Everything,
Okay.
yeah.
Wow, that's
everything,
low.
yeah.
Varun is his own marketing person.
Ah.
He doesn't need.
Actually, Varun doesn't count. Varun, you have to
Varun-
count the time you spend on Facebook promoting
then
your
it's-
brands, and that's
then
another.
40%.
No, ours would be more in the range of 5 to 8.
If we talk about group-wide, we
All
are-
delivery, only delivery.
Only delivery,
Only delivery, not dining.
only delivery cloud kitchen model.
Yeah.
If we talk about, it is around 7-8%.
7-8%. Yeah, so it's a good norm. I think when you start, you might need to do a little higher. If you generally, I mean, Varun's an exception, outlier. I'm
Yeah.
sure you guys have also.
But I think this space is 180%,
Yeah.
right? It's usually if you're under 10%, either the brand is too small or the person
Yeah.
promoting the brand is too
Yeah,
big, right?
yeah,
So,
yeah.
but usually that's what you see with majority of cash burn is that why would somebody not actually
So how
make
much
profits?
is Akshay's
How much is Akshay
20%.
20%. Not surprised. So I do know a lot of cloud kitchens which work between when they're very D2C focused and trying to build and acquire. What becomes expensive is acquiring new customers.
Yes.
Yes.
So I'd like to differ there a little bit. So when you launch a brand, I would tend to think that you price yourself below the market. I
Sure.
think that itself, of course, if you want to count that, then that becomes a percentage of marketing.
Exactly.
That does,
But
that does.
yeah,
Either
so
discounting
then,
or
I
the
mean,
lower
that-
pricing.
No,
Yeah,
no,
correct.
so we do 0% discounting.
No, no, but
across
you
any
come in at a
brand.
lower price,
So you
yeah.
come in at a lower
Fair
price. You
enough.
come in at a competitive price.
Price, yeah.
So the person kind of finds value,
Value,
in
and
your
then you
product
up
right
it.
away.
That's an
And
interesting-
that is kind of investing in your own product. And once you have the eyeballs or the mouths to feed, etc., and then you can kind of monetize it
Sure.
slowly.
I think if I can say on a light note, in Varun's case, you should ask how much is packing as a percentage of revenue.
Oh,
That's marketing.
That's a good.
His
That's a good.
packing
That's
is-
a good. That's a good question.
Good question.
So that is marketing for him.
Yeah.
Well, that's true. So, there is, I mean, your packaging is
We're 16%.
16%.
So
Wow,
I
that must
think-
be a...
So if you
I
actually
know
wanna
that.
kind
So
of-
I
yeah.
know.
You know that.
So no, I didn't know the exact number, but I
Yeah.
can make by packing how much percentage of revenue it
Yeah.
be. So that by itself
That is
is
my- that is
marketing
my
in his
marketing,
case.
I'd
So,
say, yeah.
if you remember, we talked earlier that you can only communicate to your customers as a cloud kitchen through your food and through your packaging and your
Yeah.
online persona, your digital persona. So, packaging is in effect your important cost and very important.
Most people will not have 16%, so that by
Yeah.
itself is marketing.
Okay, the questions have gone, but there was a specific, can I get the questions back? There were a couple of questions left. There one for you, Akshay, specifically about, did you see it?
Yes,
Before it
I
went?
think it was about how do you manage the balance between handling the online
Yeah.
orders as well as the conventional business. And
Yeah.
it's a fairly valid one because we're still at a stage that we are nowhere in terms of maximizing our capacities at our restaurants and locations. Banqueting is still trickling down. So at least for next 12 to 14 months, we will still be in a position to utilize the capacity. So
So then.
we're in a happy space there.
Okay, interesting question just come in. What kind of wastage? And more important than, I think, wastage and a link question is how do you predict? How do you predict daily, weekday, weekend volumes of different SKUs? You all have fairly large menus. Anyone wants to take a stab of it?
Yeah, I think it precedes the question, which was the case, that data in terms of weekday.
Okay.
In fact, Vishal also mentioned about what are you ordering? What are the cuisines that people order from? And what
No,
kind
but
of meals?
anyone, I mean, I know all of them have like a large amount of SKUs in the menu,
Yeah.
right? So you'll always have the laggards, the small ones. How do you control wastage, Varun?
So we basically do mise en place across all our brands
Okay.
with standardized cuts. So we would be, under 4 cuts in chicken across every brand.
Oh, got it.
So we, for example, in Asian we'll have 2 cuts of chicken. In Indian we'll have 1 cut of chicken. In European we'll have 1 cut of chicken. That's it.
Okay,
So
okay.
across the entire
You
sphere,
standardize the
standardize a single cut. So if it's a
And even for
tikka cut-
vegetables and other things?
So even for vegetables, very limited cuts.
Very
So
limited
for
cuts.
example, peppers would have 2 cuts. Onions would have 2 cuts.
And then do you do sauces or what goes in fresh, or is that also, that must be also
No,
made
that
some-
is all standardized.
Commissary,
but then,
yeah.
yes, that's commissary, but we use a base plus in most of our preparations. So
okay.
we, for example, have, let's say, 10 base sauces, and then we do a plus in each one.
So
Yeah, Vineet.
the key to do control wastages is to do more with less.
Okay.
So we control wastages by, I mean, it is, most of our premium brands are scratch brands. We do not
You do it fresh.
use any.
You cook fresh.
We cook fresh. And we standardize most of the things so that across, so as Varun mentioned, cuts of chicken, cuts of meats are standard, the basic mise en place, the basic ingredients are not changed, but do more with less.
And Vishal, you don't have a problem because you're doing fresh, or do you still have wastage as a challenge for you?
So our wastages are less than 0.5% of the revenues, which by industry standards are quite good.
It's good.
And one of the main reasons is like what Samir is saying, we make fresh on order. So everything goes for cooking, like Vineet is also saying after. So that plus how we plan, that is something which can be controlled quite well if you're professional.
Okay.
That's very important, because even what we've noticed, kind of things like dim sum and sushi, we roll it fresh. Kind of make each dim sum fresh. We don't kind of freeze it in. So that is something which I actually will control a lot of wastage. The fresh to order kind of.
Fresh to order. Yeah, fresh to. One quick for you guys: is there a trend of sending a chef at home? The Taj does it. People are having small dinners. Is that a trend coming in where they want a chef, waiter, a full service? Not valid for you. Are you guys doing it at all?
Yeah, not under cumin, but under a different vertical. There is a demand which is creeping in where people are comfortable.
You are being asked for that like a home catering?
So we have a large catering business.
Yeah.
But we refrain from sending a single chef or a
Single
waiter.
chef, waiter at home.
We do the full service catering or we do delivery.
Okay.
We don't do the hybrid.
No, I was curious because of this 10, 15,
but the demand
demand is there.
So we get that demand every day.
I'm sure.
But people are maybe skirting, trying to get the full catering done. So we give the option of just
Full
doing the
catering,
delivery or just do the full catering. There's nothing in between.
Okay, you finished exactly on time. Thank you, Akshay, Varun, Vishal, and Vineet. That was, I think, very interesting. I learned something. I hope it was enjoyable for people in the audience. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.